During the 1990s, the general public in many parts of the world was subjected to a massive wave of publicity and marketing relating to the Sphinx. This was principally generated by the books and TV documentaries of three popular writers who agreed about one thing. The Sphinx was at least 12,500 years old, because there was evidence of water erosion in the Sphinx pit, and this must have been caused by ancient rain circa 10,000 BC, when Egypt was believed to have had a different climate than it has today. From Chapter 6, Sphinx Island in the Sphinx Mystery, The Forgotten Origins of the Sanctuary of Anubis, by Robert Temple with Olivia Temple. I haven't yet read the book, but it might be nice to have a change of pace for my intros. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. I want to update you on the status of my Freedom of Information Act request with the Department of Homeland Security. I have received 3 more responses from sub-agencies of DHS. One is the Department of Health and Human Services. One is the Transportation Security Administration. And another one is from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. All of these address either components of my FOIA request or the FOIA in general, and tell me basically the same thing, that they've received my request and that I could pay fees in relation to searching and retrieving any data that they do find. Now, so I will keep you abreast of anything that happens, but in the meantime, for any of you who are unaware of it, you know, my FOIA request is about trying to determine whether or not, you know, FEMA or the Department of Homeland Security has a plan in effect already to enact camps for the purpose of detaining people in this country. I mean, we've had these rumors for years. This goes back to the 1990s. I mean, William Cooper talked about this, God rest his soul. And many other people, patriots, throughout the years have brought up this subject over and over and over again. And we've yet to have a definitive answer. But now everyone, we have H.R. 645, which was introduced in January. Didn't hear anything about it. There are only 2 co-sponsors to the bill, and apparently there's no action pending on it right now. You can look it up on Thomas. H.R. 645, which is a bill to direct the Secretary of Homeland Security to establish national emergency centers on military installations. The short title is the National Emergency Centers Establishment Act, which will give the Secretary of Homeland Security shall establish not fewer than 6 national emergency centers on military installations. The purpose of the National Emergency Centers are 1. To provide temporary housing, medical, and humanitarian assistance to individuals and families dislocated due to an emergency or major disaster. 2. To provide centralized locations for the purposes of training and ensuring the coordination of federal, state, and local first responders. 3. To provide centralized locations to improve the coordination of preparedness, response, and recovery efforts of government, private, and not-for-profit entities and faith-based organizations. That's a good one. And 4. To meet other appropriate needs as determined by the Secretary of Homeland Security. And that goes on to tell you, you know, where these will be located in each of the Federal Emergency Management Agency regions. One in the area of FEMA Region 123, one in FEMA Region 4, one in the combined area of FEMA Regions 5 and 7, one in FEMA Region 6, one in the combined areas of FEMA Region 8 and 10, and one in FEMA Region 9. And they would like to use closed military installations for this. So if we do not already have a program in effect, there are those in Congress who want to put it in effect. Now on the surface that might sound like a really good idea. Hey, what about Katrina and all this other stuff? Well, that's all fine and good. But whenever they have provisions in the bill that allow it to be broadened in scope and interpreted very broadly as to what would go on in such situations and how the camps would be used, it's not a very difficult step to imagine that they could be used for detaining people. Could it be a national emergency if the prisons in the United States can no longer hold the prisoners because we are the greatest nation in the world for locking people up for ridiculous drug laws? Well, of course, other criminal activities as well, but I'm sure the vast majority of people that are in prison right now are in prison because of stupid and ridiculous drug laws. So if the prisons become overcrowded and they need a place to put people, would that constitute an emergency? See, these are questions you have to ask yourself. So if we do not have FEMA camps now, our wonderful representatives in Congress are fast working on trying to establish them. So make sure you get on this with your congressman to tell them that you're completely opposed to any idea, unless it's absolutely and specifically restricted for disaster response, and absolutely restricts the government from being involved in any activity other than responding to natural fucking disasters. Or something comparable to that. Do not give them the broad base that they have with this. It's just totally unacceptable. Now, I do have a couple other things I want to talk about. One is to say that Nancy Pelosi once again proves what a tremendous bitch she is. She has come out and said that the CIA had misled her whenever they told her about the waterboarding that was going on in interrogations. And then while she was left out in the wind by the Obama administration and other top Democratic leaders, she had to backpedal. And instead, what did she do? Instead of accepting the fact that she is a liar, she pulls out the Bush card, which is always great. Yeah, she says, oh, well, I didn't mean to impugn the great people working in our intelligence community now. This was surely the fault of the Bush administration. I imagine in about 2090, we'll still be hearing the same fucking mantra. It was the Bush administration. It was the Bush administration. And of course, Obama has revived the military tribunals, and I see news reports which say that this is dismaying liberals. Well, what do they have to be dismayed about? Every chance that Obama has had, grant you, there are a lot of people out there saying, give the man time. Well, that's fine and dandy. But every chance he has had to deliver on something that he has fucking promised, he has totally failed to do so. Not only has he failed to do that which he said, he has gone completely against it. Every single time that he has had an opportunity to fulfill something that he promised in his campaign, he has failed to do it or done the exact opposite. When will you get the idea that this is a fucking trend? So, if I hear one more person say, give the man time, I'm gonna puke. Thank you.